You ever indulged in something to its entirety and really fully experienced it for everything it had to offer you, and you were given nothing but high recommendations from good friends who have opinions that you would trust, to other good friends who have opinions that are god-awful. And once you fully have experienced this said thing, you realize you hate it. You loathe everything about it. You had zero fun whilst experiencing it. I mean this for everything in it. Video games, movies, a show, a bad date, whatever. Point being, when you return to said people, or make your opinion public of your distaste in this thing, oftentimes you are referred to as what's called a hater. I detest this notion. I think it's dismissive, and it is a quick and cheap way for someone to negate an argument that you have against something that they enjoy. Me being the person that I am, I'm typically pretty vocal about the things that I dislike. It often sometimes gets relegated to me looking like I hate everything, but that really couldn't be further from the truth, because I like a lot of things. I like a lot of things. The problem is, I'm just more vocal about the things that I dislike. And you might ask, well, why would you be? And to that I say, why wouldn't I be? Because I look at it like this. I've spent a lot of time, I would even argue my entire life, really just spending every day, every waking moment, I guess doing research? I like to think that I'm kind of an artist, sort of, maybe, I don't know. I went to art school, I studied a lot of different types of art, all the way back in high school and before that and afterwards. I've always studied different types of art, and I think most things are art, and I think everything should be looked at as art, and therefore I just look at everything from a critical eye. If me and my wife go to the movies, she's sitting there enjoying her time, just soaking in the fun little romp of a time that the movie's presenting to her. Me, on the other hand, I dissect it and look at the narrative and the qualities and how it was made and how it's being filmed and the effects and the writing and the character arcs, and there's a lot of things I'm breaking down. In other words, I don't have fun when I do things. Because of that sort of artistic wiring I have in my brain, I feel that many people are like this. I just think I tend to be a little more vociferous with my opinions, I guess you could say. I just have a low tolerance for the things that I find poorly made. And let me further explain this. There are many things that I enjoy, that I fully, I would say even love. Avatar: The Last Airbender, I think, is a perfect show. Every ounce of that piece of media is perfection. And I don't use that word lightly. I mean, I think there is next to nothing wrong with this show, and there are so many praises to be sung on it. Just seeing it, I'm like, wow, how could this be constructed? How did they even think of this? How? It's so good. And there's so many things that are good, and it can be discussed for hours, for days, for weeks, forever. And it has been. There are so many videos, so many people just holding it on this pedestal, which I personally feel like it absolutely deserves. So to that I sometimes just feel, why would I myself go and join in and sing the same praises that have already been sung? See, I personally feel as though there are so many things that get that same type of critical perfected acclaim that don't deserve it, that don't get the fair judgment that they truly deserve. Here's a perfect example of my feelings on things. Jurassic Park is my favorite movie of all time. It's also my favorite book of all time. I could sit here and tell you why I think it's such a great movie and all the things it's done right, and how much it changed cinema and just how well told the story is. So I could go into the book details and everything. I could just tell you all these things about it and tell you why it was so innovative and so amazing and such a masterpiece, but it's been done. We already know it. Everybody loves Jurassic Park, right? Right? But then let's look at its younger sibling, The Lost World. The Lost World sucks. It's a bad movie. But you want to know something about that movie? I fucking love it. I adore that movie. I think it is fantastic. I enjoy every second of it. I've seen it so many times. I think it is wonderful. But that's my subjective opinion on it. I could watch that movie at any point in time, no matter what. I've seen that movie so many damn times. Even some of my other favorite movies I haven't seen anywhere near as much as I've watched The Lost World. Now this might seem a bit paradoxical. Here, let me explain. I enjoy The Lost World. I find it entertaining. It's dinosaurs eating people, and it's cars off cliffs, and people running from the man-eating dinosaurs in a shed, and then there's a dinosaur in the city, and he's at a gas station, he's doing silly stuff. Come on. That stuff's great, right? But it's a bad movie. The writing is bad, the pacing is bad, the characters are just... it's just bad. Like, it's just not a really well done film. It's strictly from a writing perspective, if anything. And no, I don't think I'm contradicting myself, because, as I said, my subjective opinion on The Lost World is that I personally love the living shit out of it. And I'm entertained by it, personally. The little kid in me loves it. The cynical, grown, jaded artist in me understands objectively what is at fault with it. Does that make sense? I can separate the two things. So even the things that I adore, for instance, the first Ninja Turtles movie from the 90s, my brother and I can recite that movie line for line. I can watch that movie whenever. I think it's such a good time. I just have such a good time watching it. I love that movie. There's almost nothing I dislike about that movie. However, it's not exactly like a great movie. Like, objectively speaking, you could really break down with an artistic eye all the little nicks and imperfections in every aspect of that piece of work as a work of cinema. You see what I'm saying? So I feel as though most people fail to separate these two things from one another. You can enjoy the hell out of something, and you can find it to be the most entertaining piece of media out there. You need to also look at things realistically and understand what may or may not make them so great. And I personally feel as though this is where a point of contention comes in between myself and the rest of the world. There comes the argument when they say, well, you're just a hater, or you just hate everything, or you're just being cynical. No, I'm being objective. See, I feel people find it difficult to separate their personal feelings and distinguishable truth. I was born in the early 90s. If you ask anyone around my age range, things like Dragon Ball Z, Pokemon, Yu Yu Hakusho, Sailor Moon, Inuyasha, like many of these things, many people in my age range will tell you how fantastic they are and how they're better than so many things out nowadays. Some of this stuff is just hot dog shit. Like, really, go look at the old Dragon Ball Z that we were watching on the CRTVs and all that. I mean, some of that stuff, objectively speaking, is actually really bad. The stories in Dragon Ball Z are not that good. It's not really like a Shakespearean tale to any degree. And honestly, some of the animation in it is downright lazy. But by God, if I don't fucking love it. But that's the personal kid in me. There are things that are absolutely fantastic about Dragon Ball Z that innovated an entire genre. We still need to be able to retrospectively look at it for everything that it didn't do right. So I guess my original point was that why would I be more negative than I would want to be positive? Well, as I've said before, there are so many things that I do think are already so good and so praised. Like I said with Avatar: The Last Airbender, or maybe something like Breaking Bad, I can sit here and tell you about it for however long, but for the most part, I can't really ever think of something to praise about these things that haven't already been said. As for on the flip side, there are certain things that I think do need to be criticized more justly. But that being said, maybe I should do some more positive reviews. You know, that first Ninja Turtles movie, that movie is pretty fucking good, actually. There's people in costumes, and they're fucking doing real flips and shit, and fucking, like, they beating up bad guys and shit. And there's a part at the end where fucking Splinter flips a dude over the ledge and shit, and he's like holding with the nunchuck, and he's fucking Shredder is all like disheveled and whatnot. And he throws him in the dump truck. Man, that movie was fucking awesome. Fuck all that objective artistic shit. That movie rules.